Hi, I'm BearHeart, and welcome to the first episode of BearHeart Labs Presents the International Geek of Mystery show. With me in this podcast is the beautiful Kirsten. Say hi, Kirsten.
Hi, Kirsten.
That's actually Ricky's line. Over here behind the cameras and running the whole show, really, is the disembodied voice of Ricky. Say hi, Ricky.
I'm not falling for that one. Kirsten already did that part for me. So thanks for saving me, Kirsten.
So this is the first episode of this podcast. We'll introduce the cast, talk a little bit about what you can expect from this podcast, and we'll discuss some about the future of my courses on LinkedIn Learning and elsewhere. So a lot of you may know me as Bill Weinman. I am Bill Weinman and I am BearHeart, and they are more or less the same person. So this is what happened. I was born Bill Weinman, and I went through life as Bill Weinman, and I developed a career doing computer consulting and programming, and also some electronics engineering and other stuff. And we'll talk about that over the course of this podcast. Along the way, I met these strange people in Arizona.
Stranger than you?
Well, not anymore.
Okay, got it.
And they sent me out on a ceremony. And I went up to the top of a mountain. I spent all night on the top of this mountain facing my fears. It was actually very, very interesting and very, very healing in a lot of ways. And I went down from the top of the mountain and I met the man who sent me on this journey. And he said, well, this doesn't usually happen, but even on your first ceremony, we have received a medicine name for you. And the name was BearHeart. And it came with an image. It came with an image of a bear that had taken the heart of a lion and put it in its own chest. And so I thought this was really cool. And I decided that I liked the name BearHeart, that it really fit me better than the name that my parents had given me, which was William Edward Weinman. And actually, it sounds kind of British and regal and not like me at all. I'm none of those things.
BearHeart.
Yeah.
Wait, you're really going to give out your full government name for free?
For free.
For free, yeah,
free?
yeah.
Hopefully not.
You'll find my social security number in the comments.
I'm on it.
That'll get our listeners up.
So I started to use the name BearHeart in my life. And in my business life, I found that when I was having a conversation about programming or about, code review or management issues or anything like that, that the conversation was always dominated by, why does he have this weird name? And so eventually I landed on the idea, which actually has worked in so many different ways in my life, of simply having two persona. There's the Bill Weinman persona, who is this techie geek guy who wears conservative clothes and teaches computer languages online. And then there's BearHeart, who is really me at heart, who is, I think, more fun and more interesting.
I disagree that you think BearHeart is more interesting, because I have seen firsthand all of the people that love and adore Bill Weinman and everything you do as Bill Weinman.
But they haven't met BearHeart.
They haven't. But
Maybe that's going to change with this.
bing, 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 we
Perhaps.
have a winner.
So over my life, having lived a fairly interesting life, I left home when I was 12. I've been working for all of these years. I've done many, many different things in many, many different arenas. And people have suggested that I write a memoir. And I think about the prospect of sitting down for a year or two and writing all of this stuff down and then having some editor cut it down to 3 chapters. And it's just not a very attractive idea. So it was suggested that a podcast might be interesting, where we can talk about many of the things that interest BearHeart. Yes, I do speak of myself in the third person on occasion.
Get used to it.
And just kind of get some of this stuff off of my chest. I've got a lot of interesting stories. I have a lot of very opinionated opinions. And, we'll see how this goes. There's some people who think this might be interesting. I hope you will find this interesting. So far, I'm enjoying the process. And I'm enjoying the process of getting to know Kirsten better and of working with Ricky as well. So, Kirsten, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Oh, yikes. We don't have enough time to unpack all of that in this intro episode, but I'm hoping that throughout the course of us talking about all of the fun things in your life, that will stir some things within me. And I'm hoping that I will have an answer for you and our audience in the very near future on that question.
Well, I challenge you to realize that you are far more interesting than you think you are.
Challenge accepted.
All right. So I want to talk a little bit about the Bill Weinman content, because Bill Weinman obviously creates a lot of content. As Bill Weinman, I teach courses on LinkedIn Learning, and I will continue to do that. I also have been creating courses for another platform which abruptly went away. I was creating content as one of the inaugural authors on Amazon's learning platform, and Amazon pulled the plug on the program before they ever launched.
R.I.P.
And I had already created about 12 hours of content on C++, which actually belongs to me. And we have decided to put that content up on Patreon. And you may be wondering, well, if I can get the LinkedIn Learning content, why would I want to get this other content? I'm gonna let you in on something here. I love LinkedIn Learning. LinkedIn Learning has been very good to me for many years. And before LinkedIn Learning, as lynda.com, for over 20 years, I was teaching at lynda.com since it was a live classroom in Ojai, California. I really love what LinkedIn Learning does. They reach a very wide audience, and their platform is exceptional in many, many ways. The shortcoming of being an author for LinkedIn Learning is that I can't really produce all of the content that I want to. They only will accept so much content per year, and it takes them many, many months from the time that I record something and get it all edited and ready, because I actually take responsibility for all of that. I have an editor that I work with, and we can create one of these courses in a matter of weeks, and then it takes them months to get it up on the platform. And I've never really been able to do what I wanted to do, which is to create a really good, complete, full suite of courses on C++, on SQL, and on Python, and perhaps some other subjects in the future. But I never really get to do that, because by the time I get a handful of titles up on a certain subject, it's already time to refresh those titles with new content. So LinkedIn Learning has served me really well in some ways, and will continue to. I will continue to provide content on that platform. But on my Patreon, I'm going to be able to do what I really want to do, which is to create very complete, full suites of these courses. And I've got one ready already on C++. And when we launch the Patreon, we'll have all of that C++ content already up there. So I will be doing both of those things. I also recently got back into writing books. I wrote a book that's been very well received, the C++ 20 STL cookbook for Pact Publishing. And they've been asking me to do another title on C++, and I may or may not decide to do that with them or to self-publish it on Amazon. So there's more Bill Weinman content coming. And there's going to be BearHeart content. There's going to be this. We're going to have a newsletter. We're going to have some other stuff. I'm not really sure what it's all going to be. I haven't really had this freedom to be public with BearHeart for a long time. I mean, BearHeart has a public presence on social media, but other than that, I've been a fairly private person for a very long time. So I'm kind of looking forward to this. Is there anything that I'm missing, Kirsten?
Biggest question is, why should people watch this podcast? Why should they listen?
I think that's an excellent question. And if you're asking that question there at home, don't bother. Seriously, all I can say is that we're going to have fun. Mm-hmm. And the distinction between the Bill Weinman persona and the BearHeart persona has always, to me, been that Bill Weinman is more or less all business, and BearHeart is more or less all fun.
Kind of like a mullet, like business in the front, party in the back.
I really have never thought of it in terms of hairstyle. And as somebody who doesn't have much hair, the hats serve as my hairstyle. Hopefully it helps to have the beautiful and hilarious Kirsten here. I don't know if there's any better of an answer than that. One thing I can say is, as you watch this, we are in the past and you are in the future. We're recording this today, and then Ricky's going to take this and she's going to edit it and chop it all up and make it pretty and publish it up. And then at some point in the future, it will be available for you, and you'll be watching this. And so you are from the future, and we are from your humble past. So sometimes we're going to discuss current events. Like I know we have a podcast planned to talk about Elon Musk, which I know is, as of today, on everybody's mind. By the time you watch this, he may be many, many years in the history books. But all of those things, when you watch this, they may be in the past. So we'll be coming to you from the past. And the things that I discuss and the events that we're talking about will have already happened by the time you are born, you live your life, and eventually listen to this podcast. So what I want to know is, do you have flying cars yet? Because really, that's what everybody wants to know about the future, isn't it?
The flying car. I forgot about that.
I have theories about flying cars. I don't know if we can get into it in this particular episode, but I don't think they're ever actually going to happen. Anyway, I want to know about the future. So as you are sitting there in the future, please write to us. On the website, there will be a way for you to write to us. We're going to have a Discord. We're going to have a newsletter. And this is going to be like a whole thing. Right? A whole thing.
You're getting country on me.
I did actually live in Texas for 9 years at one point in my distant dark past.
Are you okay? Are we still recovering
apparently
from that?
I've survived.
You made it this
And
long.
so occasionally I'll slip out a y'all. She has a
Y'all.
little necklace that says
We're
y'all
gonna
on
pretend
it.
like this is zooming in.
A proud Texan here. As a final note, I used to have really great hearing. When I was a teenager, I worked at Infinity Labs where they make the Infinity high fidelity speakers. And I was one of only 4 people in the company who was allowed in the listening room because my hearing was so good and I could hear so many subtleties and give them good feedback about it. This, alas, is no longer true. And so I have hearing aids and they kind of help, not so much that I can actually have a conversation with a human being. So along the way, I've started to learn sign language because I think this would really help me in my communications with other people. So I'm going to leave you with this note. So this means all done. We'll see you soon. This podcast is copyright 2023 by the BearHeart Group, LLC. BearHeart Labs is a brand of the BearHeart Group, and our podcasts are produced at our studios here in fabulous Las Vegas, Nevada. Our podcast producer is Rickiana Denning, a.k.a. Ricky. Our co-host and hardworking administrator is Kirsten Hilgendorf, and I'm BearHeart. On behalf of all of us here at BearHeart Labs, thank you for listening to our podcast. We hope to have you back again soon.